It's like, musical chairs, right?
Yeah, and then nobody can get anything done, and
Yes, and that's why people are basically mentally ill, and they just talk nonsense because I guess that um, they feel there's no point even saying anything or doing anything, and they're just waiting to die. I mean, literally, I think they're just waiting to die. And one of the things that happened to me today is that I got kicked out of Jacob's Discord group,
whose
and
Discord group?
Jacob Farturecci, who won't talk with you either. Do you
Well,
remember him?
he was going to, and then it's not that he told me he wouldn't. It's just that it never went anywhere.
Right. I think he's just avoiding you because he thinks, well, maybe he has spotted that you're capable of logical thought. And and I mean, he does weird things like, there is this young man who's Jewish that I know from Speaker's Corner, and I said, well, here, check out Jacob's channel. And I said, did you check out Jacob's channel? And he said, yes, I did. And he kicked me out and said I wasn't Jewish. And he said it's full of weirdos, especially Bartorecci, who thought that I'm not really a Jew. So I asked, really? Why didn't he think you were Jewish? And he said, dunno. So you know what I think Bartorecci represents? The entire neurosis of the West.
Hmm.
I mean, A, he says he's Jewish. B, he says he's on meds because of his mental illness, and he says that he was raped as a child in a bomb shelter during the Iraq-Iran war. So it's like you can't question him now. You can't, in case he has a shit fit or something, because he's kind of worked out that have to acquire status over others, you say you're Jewish, and you say you have all these sort of issues, and nobody will ever give you a hard time. And I think he works in social services, in mental health in California. He changed jobs from becoming an insurance agent broker, and now he's criticizing everybody. And the Christians, well, they just hate him. They come to his channel, they talk their thing, he pays for their channels, their YouTube channels, and he controls them.
Yeah, well, you know what? Like, if you're going, well, the Gentiles are stupid. As I told you, my opinion is this, that most Jews are smarter than most Gentiles, but there are very few Gentiles who are smarter than any Jew. And, these Gentiles just don't know how to really, do anything useful when it comes to um, countering Jews. And they, they do it the wrong way.
Yeah, they give up easily, and I mean, if you listen to Paul van der Klee, he's very good at talking nonsense for a great length of time, and they love him because he's this sort of father figure, and they just want to hear his voice. They don't care if he's talking nonsense, and he won't discuss the Trinity. So the fact that um, that what they believe in is idolatry is never discussed. And it's like, well, can't you guys, since you claim to believe in God, can't you people hypothesize that God might exist and might not agree with being worshipped as the co-equal of an executed blasphemer. They, but they can't do that. It's like, well, why would you want to do a thing like that?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can.
So, they're not thinking straight, really. And if you ask them these questions, they'll just, laugh and say, it doesn't matter, who cares? I mean, Ralph has just popped up, and first he pretended to be Christian, and now he's claiming to be a Jew.
What are you talking
So
about? He's claiming to be
Ralph
Jewish?
Ralph Masilamani, who's this Indian living in the UK. He went to school in the UK. Now he lives in Germany. He keeps having some. He keeps claiming to have some world-changing idea that's going to be launched, and it never is, and it's always put back. And then he talks about the next thing. And he used to be, saying Christ and Jesus and King the whole time, and then he gave that up and starts talking about Hashem.
Yeah, the Christians are starting to talk about Hashem. Paula White talks about Hashem. Paula White
Who's Paula
is
White?
Trump's faith advisor. She's hanging out with
So,
Noahidus Jews. She's hanging out with Israel 365 over there in Israel.
please tell us about Paula White. I don't really know anything about
Paula
her.
White is Trump's faith advisor, and
Hmm.
yeah, she's his faith advisor. She's like this kind of like greasy, grimy, like she dresses like, she's not, she's not what a Christian is supposed to be, dressed up all in expensive clothing and about money, and she's very like, she's just very oozy. She's very like, uh, you know, well, Trump picked her. And, Trump is going to want a woman who's into money and into power and, things like that. She's one of these kind of. I shouldn't really speak about her because I don't know her teaching style, but she strikes me as one of these kind of like motivational speaker Christians. God wants you to have money. You know what I mean? Um, a lot of kind of like feel good, you know, and power of the word and all that kind of stuff. Let's look her up. Let's see exactly. I don't know if she's
I'm
Pentecostal.
looking at a Wikipedia entry now. So, Paula Michelle White Cain is an American televangelist and a proponent of prosperity theology.
Yes,
Well, that says it all.
yes.
White became chair of the Evangelical Advisory Board in Donald Trump's administration. She delivered the invocation at his inauguration on 2017. She is the first female clergy member to deliver the invocation. In November 2019, Trump appointed her special advisor to the Faith and Opportunity Initiative and the Office of Public Liaison. From 2014 until May 2019, she was senior pastor of New Destiny Christian Center in Apopka, Florida, a non-denominational multicultural megachurch. She was formerly the co-pastor of Without Walls International Church in Tampa, Florida, a church she co-founded with pastor and then husband Randy White in 1991. So
So
she's
he divorced,
divorced.
or
Yes.
did he die?
Um,
Well, he has a
well,
Wikipedia.
it says they were divorced in 2007.
Oh no,
Uh,
he divorced 2007, children 3. No, he hasn't died yet.
yeah, he runs a Without Walls International Church.
No, he's not dead yet. So, and he doesn't look anywhere near her status. Oh my god, do you see him with the ripped jeans and mom
Yeah,
jeans? And he looks kind of like he doesn't look like her, but that doesn't matter.
yeah.
But she's like, you can tell just by looking her, she's very glitzy, glammy, you know.
Hmm.
Oh, she went into bankruptcy. There was bankruptcy.
Hmm. She came from a broken family. White was born Paula Michelle Furr in Tupelo, Mississippi, the daughter of Myra Joanna and Donald Paul Furr III. Her parents owned a toy and craft store. Donald and Myra's first marriage began to fail when White was 5 years old. White's mother left Tupelo and took her to Memphis. Her separation from her husband and his subsequent suicide drove White, her brother, and her mother into poverty. White's mother became an alcoholic. While she worked, her daughter was looked after by caregivers. White has said that she was sexually and physically abused between the ages of 6 and 13 by different people on different occasions. She has said that during that time she suffered from bulimia. White's mother remarried to a two-star admiral in the United States Navy when White was 9 years old. Her family moved to the Washington, D.C. area when her stepfather was stationed at the National Naval Medical Center. White graduated from Seneca Valley High School in Germantown, Maryland. While living in Maryland in 1984, she converted to Christianity at the Damascus Church of God. She later claimed to have received a vision from God shortly after her conversion. Ministry Without Walls International Church. The Tampa Christian Center was founded in Tampa, Florida by the then married Paula and Randy White in 1991. The church struggled financially and could not afford to pay the Whites a salary for the first 2 years. The couple lived on government assistance and the handouts of others. From 1991 to 1998, the church changed locations 3 times until it secured the property at 2511 North Grady Avenue in Tampa and changed the name of the church to Without Walls International Church. While the church was holding services in an outdoor tent in 1999, it reported 5,000 attendees a week and 10,000 ministered to outside of the church by 230 outreach ministries. Without Walls International Church then purchased the property next door at 3860 West Columbus Drive to expand its Tampa campus. The property acquired was a Canada Dry warehouse, which was remodeled and became the main sanctuary for the church until September 2014. In 2002, Without Walls International Church began to expand by purchasing the defunct Carpenter's Home Church location in Lakeland, Florida. At the time, the church reported 14,000 members and 200 ministries, including job training, evangelism among public housing projects, and a teen club. Without Walls International Church also began to hold Saturday night services at Carpenter's Home Church in Lakeland, renting the property. Carpenter's Home Church would later be purchased by Without Walls International Church in 2005 for $8 million, with the church renamed Without Walls Central Church. In 2004, Without Walls International Church reported a congregation of 20,000, the largest congregation in the area and the seventh largest church in the United States. An audit later made public by the United States Senate committee chaired by Iowa Republican Chuck Grassley showed that Without Walls received $150 million from 2004 to 2006. The Senate report found the church White operated with her now ex-husband spent tax-exempt ministry funds 1 year to pay nearly $900,000 for the couple's waterfront mansion, over $1 million in salaries to family members, and paid for the Whites' private jet. White and her church did not cooperate with the investigation. In 2011, Grassley issued a report outlining his committee's findings, but took no additional action. So, right, so that's interesting. So he's well, can check out Chuck Grassley later. On July 12th, 2009, White became the senior pastor of the church that she had co-founded, replacing her former husband, Randy White, who stated that he was stepping down as pastor for health reasons, but would remain connected with the church in a different position. On January the 1st, 2011, after the resignation of Scott Thomas, White became the senior pastor of the Without Walls Central Church in Lakeland, Florida church, making her the pastor of both locations. In August of that year, services ceased when electricity was disconnected after failure to pay over $50,000 in bills. 1 year later, on January 1st, 2012, she became senior pastor of New Destiny Christian Center as well. On June 2012, her ex-husband Randy White resumed leadership of the Tampa location. Bankruptcy. By 2008, 3 years after purchasing the Lakeland property, Without Walls International put both locations up for sale due to financial difficulties. The Evangelical Christian Credit Union began foreclosure proceedings on both properties later that year. Selling 2 parcels of land to the city of Lakeland allowed for a settlement with the credit union in 2009, modifying the mortgage through 2013. In November 2011, while White was still senior pastor of the location, her ex-husband Randy White said that the Lakeland property was on the verge of being sold or going into foreclosure. By October 2012, the Tampa property was under foreclosure proceedings by the Evangelical Christian Credit Union after failure to pay loans. In a counterclaim filed at the time, Without Walls International claimed that White had taken audio equipment owned by the church to her new church in Apopka. On March 4, 2014, when White was a senior pastor of New Destiny Christian Center in Apopka, Without Walls International Church filed for Chapter 11 federal bankruptcy protection. In response, the Evangelical Christian Credit Union, which said the church owed it $29 million, called the filing a litigation tactic to prevent the foreclosure of 2 church locations. In a television interview with Erin Burnett at CNN, White stated, "I've never filed bankruptcy. I had resigned Without Walls. I had absolutely no part." Paula White Ministries. Do you want to listen to this, or shall I go straight to Trump administration?
It's up to you. I mean, it's a little bit.
Okay, I'm happy to, for the sake of thoroughness, read everything if you have time.
Yeah, sure.
White recorded the first broadcast of Paula White Today in December 2001. By 2006, her show appeared on 9 television networks, including Trinity Broadcast Network, Daystar, and Black Entertainment Television. Ebony magazine said of White, "You know, you're onto something new and significant when the most popular woman preacher on the Black Entertainment Network is a white woman." White considers T.D. Jakes her spiritual father. Jakes invited her to speak at his Woman Thou Art Loosed conference in 2000. She also participated in the Mega Fest hosted by Jakes in Atlanta in 2004, 2005, and 2008. White has ministered to Michael Jackson, Gary Sheffield, and Darryl Strawberry. Do you know Gary Sheffield and Darryl Strawberry?
Darryl Strawberry, I'm 99% sure, is a sports person. Darryl Strawberry isn't sports. I don't know who the other person is.
Okay, yeah, he's a former professional baseball right fielder. And Gary Sheffield is former professional baseball outfielder. Both are black, and sportsmen are known to be infamously dim. She was a personal pastor to Darryl Strawberry starting in 2003, following Strawberry's release from prison for cocaine possession. Charisse Strawberry, Darryl's wife at the time, worked as an assistant to White, accompanying her on speaking engagements. She is the personal life coach of Tyra Banks and appeared on her show, The Tyra Banks Show, in an episode on promiscuity on October 4th, 2006. Have you heard of Tyra Banks?
Yeah, Tyra Banks is a model.
Mm-hmm. On December 31st, 2011, the board of New Destiny Christian Church in Apopka, Florida, announced that it appointed White to succeed Zachary Timms as the new senior pastor new senior pastor. Neil searching for a replacement since his death in August 2011. Tim's ex-wife Reva filed a lawsuit against the board of directors but quickly dropped it, citing a hold harmless clause in her 2009 marital settlement agreement. Do you know what that means?
No.
In contract law, um, sorry, I'm kind of interested because I don't know what it means.
What is it called?
A hold harmless law. So anyway, she was suing her husband, and then she decided not to. So okay. In contract law, an indemnity is a contractual obligation of one party, the indemnitor, to compensate the loss incurred by another party, the indemnity, due to the relevant acts of the indemnitor or any other party. The duty to indemnify is usually, but not always, coextensive with a contractual duty to hold harmless or save harmless. I don't know what that means. In contrast, a guarantee is an obligation of one party, the guarantor, to another party to perform the promise of. Okay, we don't. It's too complicated, but anyway, uh, anyway, Tim's ex-wife Reva dropped a lawsuit against the board of directors of the New Destiny. Okay, I don't even know what it means. Upon hearing of the controversy, White addressed the New Destiny Christian Center during a service that she was leading. I'm not asking you to like me. I'm not asking you to love me or respect me, because I'll do the work to earn that. I always ask people to give me 1 year of your life, and I promise you will be changed. On January 1st, 2012, White officially became the senior pastor for New Destiny Christian Center in Apopka. Her philanthropic work in the community along with the New Destiny Christian Center has been publicly acknowledged by the mayor of Apopka. Her church's mentoring of school students, donating food to the needy, assisting families victimized by violence, and ministering to help young women trapped in the adult entertainment industry has been inspiring, said Apopka Mayor Joe Kilsheimer. When I see her doing What I see her doing in the community is of tremendous value to Apopka and Northwest Orange County. On May 5th, 2019, White announced that she was stepping down as senior pastor of New Destiny Christian Center and that her son and his wife would become the new senior pastors. The church would also be renamed City of Destiny. White said she would help start 3,000 churches and a university. Commenting in March 2020 about her ministry and the COVID-19 outbreak, White said, "We are a hospital for those who are soul sick, those who are spiritually sick," and citing Psalm 91, solicited donations of $91 or maybe $9 or whatever God tells you to do. She let donors know that the money wouldn't go to victims of the disease. After widespread criticism of an Arizona event scheduled for April 9, 2020, for which she had promised supernatural protection, she withdrew from the fundraiser. Trump administration. Now we get to the interesting bit. White became a personal minister to Donald Trump after he watched her television show. He first contacted White by telephone in 2002. He brought her to Atlantic City on multiple occasions for private Bible studies and has appeared on her television show. In June 2016, White was credited by James Dobson for having converted Trump to Christianity. White was part of Trump's evangelical advisory board during his campaign for president, and she provided the invocation prayer during Trump's inauguration ceremony. That was what you said yesterday, I think, or the day before. From when Trump took office, White had served as one of the president's spiritual advisors and had held various prayer circles with him in the White House, including in the Oval Office. One notable prayer moment was White initiating prayer with President Trump on February 27, 2020, at the African American History Month reception in the Cabinet Room. White led black leaders to lay hands on President Trump, a moment that aided President Trump appeal with the black community following their concerns with him before he was elected. In 2015, black pastors called for then presidential candidate Trump to apologize for unfair treatment of the American community and also to Mexicans for its inflammatory rhetoric. White, with assistance from her own ministry board advisor Jack Graham, has had an ongoing spiritual collaboration with Trump. White enthusiastically supported Trump's 2017 to recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. White also supported Trump for his re-election. On June 18, 2020, when Trump launched his re-election campaign, she opened in prayer. She further used her religious notoriety to seek votes on Trump's behalf. She warned that Christians don't support President Trump will have to answer to God. On November 4, 2020, one day after the election in which Trump was standing for his second term, White appeared in a Facebook live stream in which she conducted a prayer service to secure Trump's re-election, repeatedly calling an angelic reinforcement from angels from Africa and South America, as well as an abundance of rain. This was after it became apparent from election results that Trump was losing to Biden. The video featured White leading the impassioned prayer that included praying in tongues. It quickly went viral across the internet and received much criticism and ridicule. At the rally preceding the January 6 Capitol attack, she offered the opening prayer before Trump's speech. Politics. On October 21, 2019, the White House announced that White would serve in an official advisory role for the Center for Faith and Opportunity Initiative. On May 7, 2020, White delivered the opening remarks for a National Day of Prayer ceremony. White stood as an advocate for Trump's immigration policy. She also defended the Trump administration's policy of detaining immigrant children, claiming conditions were not inhumane. Concerning the conditions of a particular facility, the Associated Press stated the facility was packed with hundreds of underfed, unwashed children, some of them sick with flu, forced to look after each other in the absence of adults. But White claimed that following visits to these facilities, detained youth received 3 square meals a day. Additionally, White said that the deplorable conditions reported by opportunistic journalists and immigration lawyers just are not there because youth were crowded, but in a facility that was deep cleaned on a daily basis and housed smiling and laughing children who played games. Theology. White is a proponent of prosperity theology. Along with other televangelists, her ministry Without Walls International Church was the subject of an inconclusive 2007 to 2011 Senate Finance Committee investigation. The committee has investigated financial improprieties that could have affected the religious organization's tax-exempt status. According to the report, Without Walls received $150 million as donations $150 million as donations from 2004 to 2006, and the church spent tax-exempt ministry funds 1 year to pay nearly $900,000 for the couple's waterfront mansion, paid salaries to family members, and also paid for their private jet. No additional action was taken on the issue report. White has been criticized for her religious beliefs by theologians and other conservative evangelists. Christian author Eric Erickson criticized her for agreeing with a man who said Jesus was not the only Son of God. White has also been criticized for claiming to have a doctoral degree when she has no college or seminary degree. White has denied all allegations and criticisms of heresy. In CNN interview, she responded to some of the criticism, saying, I have been called a heretic, an apostate, an adulterer, a charlatan, and an addict. It has been falsely reported that I once filed for bankruptcy and that I deny the Trinity. My life and my decisions have been nowhere near perfect, though nothing like what has been falsely conveyed in recent days. In July 2018, while discussing immigration, White said that although Jesus migrated to live in Egypt, it was not illegal. If he had broken the law, then he would have been sinful and he would have not been our Messiah. In response, William Barber II called White a Christian nationalist and said that Jesus wasn't a refugee and did break the law. He was crucified as a felon under Roman law. In January 2020, White was criticized for a sermon in which he prayed for the miscarriage of all satanic pregnancies. White later wrote on Twitter that the comment had been a metaphor and a reference to Ephesians 6. In 20, in 20, sorry, in December 2021, White participated in the prayer rally for peace on the Korean Peninsula, hosted by the Unification Church's Universal Peace Federation. During the event she called Hak Ja Han Moon, the widow of Unification Church founder Son Myung Moon, a jewel from God, and lauded Mother Moon for her great work as a spiritual leader who loves the Lord and seeks to carry out and to comfort her heart of God in all the areas of conflict in the world. White was denounced by Christian rapper Shai Lin in a song called False Teachers. Do you know that song? With
No,
Shai Lin. Um,
I
okay.
don't.
Personal life. Marriage and relationships. White has been married 3 times.
Whoa.
Yeah. Her first marriage was as a teenager. White became pregnant the year after converting to Christianity. She and the father, local musician Dean Knight, married in 1985. They divorced in 1989. White met associate pastor Randy White in 1987 while attending Damascus Church of God in Maryland, which was headed by his father. According to their book, Holy Mavericks, meeting this third generation preacher was a turning point in her life. The two divorced their spouses in 1989 and married each other a year later. So I guess he was an adulterer. Well, they were both adulterers. White became stepmother to his children. Shortly thereafter, they moved to Tampa, Florida, and started Without Walls International Church. No mention of her pregnancy. I suppose it was terminated. On August 23rd, 2007, Randy White announced that the couple were divorcing. According to the Christian Post, White says the divorce was amicable and they remain friends. In 2010, White was photographed leaving a hotel in Rome holding hands with televangelist Benny Hinn. Have you heard him?
Yes, but he's much older than her.
Right.
He's much. Benny Hinn is. And
He's an Israeli-born Canadian televangelist.
Benny Hinn is like so corrupt. He's like just like known for such corruption. I don't know if he's the one where people were dying of heroin overdoses in his church, like his leaders or something. That might have been Benny Hinn. Benny Hinn is like bad news.
Right. Well, he was born in Jaffa in 1952.
He's Jewish?
Um, well, it says he was born to parents born in Palestine who had Greek, Palestinian, and Armenian heritage. He was raised within the Eastern Orthodox tradition and baptized by the Patriarch of Jerusalem. He emigrated to Toronto after the Six-Day War. In 1972, he became a born-again Christian. Yeah, and then he...
Yeah, he's older than her. I mean,
Yeah.
she was graduated high school in 1984, and he was already converting to Christianity 10 years prior to that. So
Yes, Hinn said the friendship did develop, though the relationship is over. Both denied an affair. At the close of 2014, musician Jonathan Cain of the rock band Journey finalised his divorce from his second wife and became engaged to White, whom he has had been whom he had been seeing during his marriage. On April 27, 2015, the couple married. White became stepmother to his children. Family. White has one child, son Bradley Knight from her first marriage, whom she installed as her church senior leader in 2019. She was stepmother to three children of her second husband, Randy White, and is stepmother to the three children of her third husband, Jonathan Cain. The end.
Well, she has a colorful life history, and she sounds like a fraud and a crook.
Yeah, I can't disagree with what this makes her sound like.
Yeah, it
And
makes it sound like a
and Trump
fraud.
is taking his spiritual advice from her. Not a good lookout for Americans. If
No, I
if
don't
if
know.
that's the
I don't know why he chose her, but Trump is
he
corrupt,
likes
and
choosing women. He likes putting women in top jobs. As long as they're attractive, he'll choose them. She's not the only one. There's so many, of his spokes women.
spokeswomen. Yeah, I know.
He choose
Yeah,
yeah because he doesn't choose men. He always chooses women to speak for him.
yeah, that's probably a tactic, to look liberal and tolerant and open.
And pro women.
Yes.
Well, there's quite a lot to say about that, isn't there, Vincent?
About her?
Yeah, being the spiritual advisor for Trump, and his tactic of finding attractive women to speak for him.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, oh well.
No, no, but you see, I think it is a particularly American problem because in Europe, it's sort of like you can't just start a church on your own because you're just going to get kicked by the established church, who are so much more powerful than your crappy little church. But in America, you don't have an established church, so a lot of these churches are run like businesses, and they can get powerful. And so Paula White is like your Archbishop of Canterbury, which could be a bit scary if she's not a very nice person. And it seems from her Wikipedia entry that, as you say, she's had a colorful history. And that's
Yeah.
why America needs secular Quranism with American characteristics. Otherwise, you'll just get some, charismatic televangelists who'll just make up shit as they go along and be whispering in your president's ear.
Hmm.
I mean, do you see this as a moral danger or not?
Well, I don't. Well, no, I would prefer where there is no central church, and new church leaders can rise up and take over, and new things can happen. I don't want a stagnant, you know, church
But
like
then
that.
powerful people will just make up the rules as they go along.
Well, the thing is that the old established church might not have it right. And so you want people to be able to challenge that. And there's evangelicals in England, and not everyone is an Anglican in England. I mean, There's plenty of Pentecostals and stuff like that.
No, no, but I mean, can you just hypothesize that God might exist and think Christianity is idolatry? And even if you don't believe in God, what you have is quite powerful people. You know, if the, well, I think I would call Paula White powerful because she influences so many people, talking to other powerful people and giving advice that might not be the best advice off the top of their head. I mean, the whole point of Christianity, I do understand that it's like, well, we're just going to use a brand of Jesus to make ourselves seem like good people, but we can do all kinds of evil for which we can, pretend to repent of and break all the rules while pretending to keep them. And because you have no rules, nobody can say, oh, but you're not supposed to do that, you know. I mean, I think this is a problem. So, I mean, all you have to do is say, oh, I'm Christian and, I can do anything because, you know, but, we have no rules. I mean, it's the same with liberalism. There are no rules. And that's why you need rules. So you can tell when your leader is breaking the rules. Otherwise, you just have an absolute monarch who can change his mind about anything and say, yeah, well, I said that, last year. Well, I've changed my mind now and I'm going to, take back what I've given to you or whatever.
I still think
So,
that's better. I still think that's better than having a centralized church that doesn't really change and, is stuck in its ways.
well, but that's not true about the Catholic or the Anglican Church. It has changed beyond all recognition. It doesn't
Well, the
even
thing is that
believe in marriage anymore.
well, a lot of that change was influenced by break-off churches, and then, the Catholic Church kind of absorbed other break-off churches, but um no, I'm glad that America was Protestant and all different kinds of Protestant. And I think it made us more dynamic. And I think that's part of the reason why America was so dynamic. And, you know, um, until recently, Catholic countries were always at an economic disadvantage to Protestant countries. And,
Yes, there was a Protestant work ethic. I certainly acknowledge how America was built on the Protestant work ethic, but that's gone as well. I mean, you want the good things to stay and you want to be able to continue keeping bad things at bay. But if you don't have any rules, whatever is good can also slip away. And Trump is just using, you know, certain people to protect him from unpopularity. And his strategy is obviously to find an attractive woman to speak on his behalf. But maybe he should stop doing that.
yeah, he elected the woman to the Supreme Court, an attractive woman to
And
the
she was
Supreme
no
Court.
good. Yeah, I mean, she was no good.
Why?
She didn't help him. Well, Amy
What?
Coney Barrett, right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the thing is, she wasn't any good. She didn't do anything for him in the end.
Yeah, he elected what? Two judges? Wait,
The other
let's
one
see.
was Justice Kavanaugh.
Yeah. Yeah, Justice Kavanaugh. But yeah, I know, and I know they didn't help him or anything like that, but
Everything is broken. Nothing works. It's like some kind of motor neuron disease. It's like, yeah, I want to lift my finger, but oh, I can't because all the connections are gone. And whether you like it or not, religion is an organizing force. You just see how broken. Did you hear this my stream with Stephen J. James on Saturday?
Was that with you?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I was the guest. There were. I mean, David Yorkshire popped up again. But okay. I mean, the interesting thing about it was that he said, "Well, I do want to have offspring. So what do you advise me to do?" And then it turns out that he's prepared to dispense with the requirement to marry. So he doesn't even have the principle of having legitimate children, and that is really what religion gives you: the principle of having legitimate children. And obviously he thinks it's some sort of optional extra. Well, I'm saying it's a compulsory eugenic filter, whatever your race.
Stephen J. James doesn't want to get married?
Well, I think he's more interested in siring offspring, and he doesn't care if they're illegitimate, if they if he has illegitimate offspring.
Well, I mean, as long as he finds a woman who's in a healthy, sound condition.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm not saying that unmarried parents are somehow unhealthy or whatever. But what is at issue is a parenting that their child gets. So if you're saying, fornication is okay, then people will fornicate, and then women will get knocked up, and then people will say, well, what do you expect? We'll just have to deal with it, and then, you know, there's just more and more of them, and then they become the majority, and then you can't say a thing against them. And because they are the majority, they will encourage more people to become like that. Do you know the illegitimacy rate in Jamaica?
Very high.
Yeah, it's about 83 or 85%. And it's a jungle. You can't even talk about it because, I mean, there was a reason why marriage was became universal, because eventually people worked out that you're just going to have a better quality next generation if children are mostly reared by their biological and married parents living together in a loving relationship.
But don't say loving, because I don't think that that's a very practical to think that people will be in love, and that 90 or 100% of people will be in love their whole marriage. I think, the thing is that you have to accept that this
I'm going
might
to
be.
say, yeah, but I'm saying it's okay. The optimum conditions for children to be brought up is what I just said, by their biological married parents living together in a loving relationship. Okay, so maybe you hate your spouse. It's like, well, at least I got the other bits right. At least I'm still living with them. You know.
Yeah, well, it's just that that's very hard for people to deal with, and unless you're one of these people that's able to hide it, the children are going to notice, and these different kinds of things. And then, I mean, there's also the insanity issue. I mean, being with the wrong person can drive you absolutely insane. I mean, my parents were incapable of staying together. I mean, there was just no way. There was absolutely, I mean, they would have killed each other.
Well, did they seek marriage counseling? Did they even bother?
No, they cheated on each other.
Hmm.
No, they were so fed up with each other, they just slept with other people.
Well, you might have been a different person if they'd stayed together and all the rest of it, I
That
guess.
would have been very toxic. That would have been I think that would have been an even more toxic environment. I think they would have been fighting all the time, and you know Well, I did get a taste of that in that when I was with my father in his second marriage, I moved in and it got toxic at the end before they got divorced. And
But your father's second marriage.
yeah, my father's second marriage. It got toxic at the end before they got divorced. And my father had three unsuccessful, horrible marriages. I mean,
Maybe it's because thinking that they can get divorced makes them more likely to get divorced, and less prepared to work their issues through. I'm just very grateful that my parents stay together.
no, I don't know. I don't know if that would have. Oh my god, my poor bird. His mate died, and now I can't find a mate for him, and he's very upset.
Did you say you found one in Pennsylvania or something?
No, she wrote back to me and she said she has no females left, and he cries. He
Oh,
cries for her. He never used to cry like that. He
oh,
never used to go looking for her. And now he cries.
hmm.
So very sad. I don't know what.
Yeah.
I think kind of.
Can't you pair up? I mean, are they all paired up?
No, no. The society finches, if they're in a colony, don't pair up as much. A little bit. They'll have their favorite. I have two that they prefer. I have two couples that prefer each other, but they'll still mate and they'll still mate with other ones, but they tend to like to be together in the cage. And you know, no, but I'm very heartbroken. I'm very heartbroken for him, and I think this would be the last time I would get any kind of exotic, hard to find finch because I already feel bad having them. I mean, birds in cages and stuff like that. I mean, I do feel bad. I mean, I don't feel like what I'm doing is right, but, you know,
Hmm.
it's probably not right.
Oh,
Um,
because mhm.
um, yeah, um, but yes, I mean, the point is that the thing is that, you know, marriages that stay together still produced a lot of, unfortunate offspring. And, yeah, it still produced a lot of unfortunate offspring. And I think the majority of the population has always been um, subpar and just not up to, the task of maintaining a very high level of civilization. And, I don't know if it's worse now or what, but you know, I don't know. I don't know. I All I know is that it's not very sustainable because it takes so much social pressure. And then the thing is that social pressure can only be applied if the vast majority of people believe in that. Like it was easy to put social pressure against homosexuals because most people aren't gay. And so it was easy to get the population to enforce that. But if you are talking to heterosexuals and 50% of them want to get divorced and another 25% are unhappy in their marriages, if you only have 25% of people that, are happy in their marriage, then it's going to be very hard to enforce that on the population.
It's actually very easy. It's like you have to take marriage seriously. You have to love the person, and we'll give you help if you have any issues, and it's not just about you. It's not just about the parties to the marriage. It's the children of the marriage, and the thing is, if the government wanted to, it could do all these things, but they choose not to. And in fact, they do things like you know uh, abolish fault-based divorce, encourage. Well, I mean, we do have no fault divorce in the UK now, so you don't even have to say a reason. You
Yes,
just say,
but
"Well, I'm off
Claire,
now."
everyone in the
Okay,
government is
you
also
you don't
divorced.
have children. All, what do you say?
Everyone in the government is already divorced. So the idea that government officials are in the media, they're all divorced. I mean, who's not divorced? What sector's not divorced that they're going to come in
Okay,
and
okay, so it's been normalized, right? And nobody wants to correct it. They're not going to say, "Oh, it was a bad idea to normalize divorce." It's like, well, what can you do now? We'll just carry on and not admit our mistake. That's what they're doing. It's like, well, we've been doing it for so long. We'll just carry on because, well, we're not going to admit our mistake. God forbid that we should admit any mistakes because we worship our past, whatever it was, uncritically, absolutely, because
Claire,
that's how we are.
can we finish this on your channel in about an hour? Because I do have to go.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I will. I'll contact you on Telegram and we can continue talking in a little bit.
Okay.
All
All
right.
right.